Part 1. The Servant of the Noble House in the heart of London, hidden from the Muggle world by powerful enchantments, stood number 12, Grimold Place. It was a tall, gloomy house steeped in the dark history of the Black family, one of the oldest and proudest pure-blood lines in all of wizarding Britain. And for as long as he could remember, the house had been Kreacher's entire world. He was a house elf, bound by the ancient magic of his kind to serve the family until his last breath. His skin was pale and wrinkled like old parchment, his large, watery eyes the color of gray smoke, and his loyalty to the House of Black was as absolute and unyielding as the ancient foundations of the house itself. He had served his mistress, Walburga Black, with a devotion that bordered on worship. He revered her, cherished her screaming portraits, and upheld her fanatical belief in the purity of blood with every fiber of his being. But his truest affection, the quiet, gentle part of his heart, belonged to her younger son, Master Regulus, was different from his rebellious older brother, Sirius. He was quiet, dutiful, and he upheld the family's traditions. He was a true Black, and unlike the others, he often treated Kreacher not just as a servant, but with a flicker of something, akin to kindness. He would sometimes offer Kreacher a bit of biscuit, or speak to him in a quiet, respectful tone. For this, Kreacher would have gladly laid down his life. He kept Master Regulus's room pristine, cherished the Slytherin banners on the wall, and saw in the young wizard the future and the glory of the family he so adored. His life, though one of servitude, was one of purpose and pride. He knew his place, and he was content. This contentment, however, was destined to be shattered by the arrival of the Dark Lord. Part 2. The Master's Command ***. One day, the Dark Lord himself came to Grimold Place. He was a terrifying figure, his presence sucking the very warmth from the room. He did not ask for gold or for secrets. He asked for something far stranger. He wished to borrow a house elf. Master Regulus, eager to prove his loyalty as a new Death Eater, offered Kreacher. It was a great honor, he had said. An honor for the House of Black. Kreacher, trembling with a mixture of fear and pride, accepted his master's command without question. Voldemort took Kreacher and disapparated. They reappeared at the base of a jagged cliff, the air thick with the smell of salt and dark magic. They entered a dark, hidden cave where Voldemort used his powerful magic to open a concealed entrance. Inside lay a vast, underground lake, its black water perfectly still and chillingly cold. In the center of the lake was a small green island. Voldemort conjured a tiny boat, and as they crossed the silent water, Kreacher could feel them, the Inferi, the cursed bodies of the dead, stirring in the depths below. On the island stood a stone basin filled with a glowing emerald green potion. "My lord," Voldemort had said, his voice a cold hiss, "requires a creature to test the defenses. Drink." It was a command, and Kreacher, bound by his master's order to obey, began to drink the terrible potion. It was a potion of despair. It filled his mind with his deepest fears and most profound regrets, burning his insides with an agonizing magical thirst. When the basin was empty, Voldemort placed the locket inside and refilled it with the same dreadful liquid. Then, without a backward glance, the Dark Lord left him there to die. The thirst was unbearable. Maddened by the potion, Kreacher crawled to the edge of the island and drank from the black lake. The moment his lips touched the water, the Inferi awoke. Dead, cold hands erupted from the surface, grabbing at him, pulling him under into the freezing, silent darkness. It was the end. But even in his terror, one command echoed in his mind, overriding all others. His master Regulus had told him to come back, and the magic of a house elf, when bound to a direct order from its master, is a powerful and ancient thing. With a final desperate surge of his own innate magic, Kreacher disapparated from beneath the waves, leaving the Inferi clutching at empty water. He reappeared, gasping and shivering, on the cold stone floor of the drawing room at Grimold Place. He had returned as commanded. Part 3. A Secret Pact ***. When Regulus saw the state of his loyal elf, his youthful arrogance and belief in the Dark Lord began to crumble. He nursed Kreacher back to health, listening with growing horror as the elf recounted the events in the eye. Cave, the potion of despair, the locket, the Inferi. Regulus, a clever and perceptive wizard, understood immediately. The locket was a Horcrux. The Dark Lord had used his family's elf in a grotesque ritual and had created something of ultimate evil. The realization shattered Regulus's world. This was not the noble cause he had signed up for. This was not about purifying the wizarding world. It was about one wizard's monstrous, selfish quest for immortality. In that moment, his loyalty shifted. It was no longer to the Dark Lord, but to the values his family should have stood for. He knew he could not defeat Voldemort, but he could, and he would defy him. He spent weeks in secret, crafting a perfect replica of the locket. Then one night, he came to Kreacher, his face pale but resolute. "Kreacher," he said, his voice low and firm, "I need you to take me back to that cave. You will do everything I say? Do you understand?" Kreacher, seeing the steely determination in his young master's eyes, nodded without hesitation. They returned to the terrible place. Regulus, using his own magic, summoned the boat, and they crossed the lake. On the island, he looked at the basin of green potion. "Kreacher," he said, handing the elf the real locket, which he had magically switched. "When the basin is empty, you will switch this fake locket for the real one. And you will take the real one, and you will go home, and you will never tell my mother what happened." Kreacher began to protest, but Regulus was firm. He then handed Kreacher the final, unbreakable command. "And you will destroy the locket." "That is an order." Before Kreacher could argue, Regulus began to drink the potion of despair himself. He drank it all, his body racked with the same agony Kreacher had felt. He collapsed, crawling to the water's edge. He switched the lockets, placing the fake one in the now empty basin. And as the dead hands of the Inferi reached up to drag him under, he looked at his loyal elf one last time. "Go, Kreacher, obey." Bound by his master's final, most sacred command, Kreacher disapparated, clutching the real cursed locket to his chest, tears streaming down his wrinkled face as he left, his brave, noble master to his fate. Part 4. A burden of loyalty Kreacher returned to an empty house, his heart broken. He now had a new, terrible purpose. His master's last command, destroy the locket. But the Horcrux was powerful. He tried everything his house elf magic could conjure. He tried to smash it, to burn it, to curse it. Nothing worked. The locket remained pristine, its dark magic slowly seeping into the house, into Kreacher's own mind. For years, he kept the secret. He served his mistress, who died of grief, for her lost son, never knowing the truth of his heroic sacrifice. The house fell into decay, covered in dust and sorrow, mirroring the state of Kreacher's own mind. The locket whispered to him, feeding his bitterness, twisting his loyalty into a resentful madness. He muttered to the portrait of his mistress, his only companion, forever honoring the old ways and hating the blood traders and mudbloods his family had despised. The secret of the locket, the burden of his failure to destroy it, was a poison he carried alone for over a decade. When the house became the headquarters for the Order of the Phoenix, his misery intensified. He was forced to serve Sirius, the brother who had betrayed the family, and his mudblood and blood trader friends. The locket's influence grew stronger, feeding his hatred. It was this hatred, poisoned by the Horcrux, that led him to lie to Harry, a lie that would ultimately contribute to Sirius's death. It was only when Harry Potter inherited the house, and, through an act of unexpected kindness, gave Kreacher the fake locket, Master Regulus's locket, that the tide began to turn. For the first time in years, someone had shown him respect. Someone had honored the memory of his master. The poison of the Horcrux began to lose its grip, and when Harry, Ron, and Hermione finally figured out how to open the real locket and destroy the fragment of Voldemort's soul within, Kreacher was finally truly free from his burden. His mind cleared, his loyalty, no longer twisted by dark magic, found a new worthy home. He became a devoted servant to Harry, seeing in him a master worthy of the sacrifice Regulus had made. His transformation was complete when he led the house elves of Hogwarts into the final battle, fighting not for blood purity, but for his new master, Harry Potter, in the name of the brave master who had died to defy the Dark Lord. He had carried the secret, he had borne the pain, and in the end, the small, forgotten house elf had found his own quiet, profound, and hard-won peace.